Penalty Box. I'm Kelal Oakman. With us on the show tonight, a VHL exclusive for the first time ever, a live satellite interview with the one and only St. Aabra, newly re-signed goaltender for the St. Louis Blues, is kind enough to join us on the program. For those of you who don't know St. Aabra, I'm sure you can go digging on the forums and find a multitude of threads on leaguearena.com in regards to his particular style of play. He is the most talked about goaltender for this style, and I'm talking about the goal line camping goalies, as they've been called. He's, I wouldn't say the grandfather, but he is the most talked about figurehead of this style, and I welcome him to the Penalty Box. St. Aabra, thanks for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Now, I'm going to cut to the chase, Aabra. Like I said just now, a lot of people in the VHL don't like your style. A lot of people don't mind your style. It's more of a love-hate relationship you have going on with the community. In fact, I believe some even went as far as to say that there should be a rule banning said style. I do not particularly agree with that. I think that's extremely draconian and drastic. But I can't help but notice a lot of people are polarized on this subject, both pros and cons, and I would like to get your opinions on the subject matter. For instance, first, I'd like to talk a little bit more in depth about your actual playing style. Some people call it goal line camping. Some people accuse you of not moving at all, just staying in the butterfly position, or holding the left trigger, as they say, for the entire game. Care to comment?
Well, it's kind of an interesting scenario, because back when I made like the original, the all famous scouting video that I made back for season 11, I kind of did play a lot like that, because it came to my, I realized pretty early on that, hey, you know what, if I just sit down here in the middle of the goal line and I anticipate left and right, that's the best way to goaltend, sadly, when you've got a defense that you can't really depend upon. And unfortunately, when you look at a lot of the teams, in the CHL level and the AHL level, you go into club or God forbid, drop in. It can be really tough, because your defensemen, and not just your defensemen, but your forwards as well, if you don't have good, solid team defense, you can get punished brutally just for playing goalie, kind of the way it should be, coming out, challenging pucks, things like that. Because again, we're playing NHL 13, and it's really difficult to stop those cross-crease passes. Pucks go through sticks. You're dealing with all kinds of garbage. But once I came to St. Louis, it became pretty clear to me that I was on one of the best defensive-minded teams in the league. And by doing that, it allowed me to come out and challenge a bit more, because, again, one of the weak points really of playing a true goal line goaltender not coming out at all, is you do give up the short side, right? And sure, it doesn't always go in, and that's that was kind of the big plus, is that skater coming down the wing, if they're given the space, if they're given the time and space to wind up and snap that puck short side high, I mean, that's going in probably, I'd say, at least 50% of the time. Yes, you're going to make the stop 50% of the time, even if you're not moving. And that's kind of one of the benefits of playing a goal line goalie, is that your chance to stop the puck is never zero, right? But if you stand up and you come out and you completely cut off the short side completely, which is what I'm allowed to do while playing on St. Louis, then they're obviously not scoring that way. What the forward can do in that situation, though, is if they cut to the inside, even just a little bit, you've given up the entire far side, right? And then they can just easily score on you, or do some garbage deke. So you're really depending on the defense or the forwards or whoever's skating down the wing with them to prevent that attacker from cutting into the inside and just deking them out of their pants and getting an easy goal on you. And again, I'm lucky to be on St. Louis because I can trust the guys on that team to do it. But on a lot of teams, you just can't do it, right? And I appreciate. I come from a background of club, and heck, I even played a whole lot of drop-in games while I was getting my legend card, and it can be really rough out there as a goalie. So you kind of have to do everything to give you that edge.
So you're saying you play this particular goaltending style out of necessity at first, where to make up for the fact that you have a bunch of schmucks, I'm talking about drop-in and OTP, a bunch of retards, if you will, who don't necessarily play a great style of team defense. It's every man for themselves, sort of hodgepodge crap. And you feel that you need to play this style to give yourself a fighting chance to keep your team in it, because there is no team defense, so to speak. That's how it started?
Kind of. Yeah, I mean, the way it started was, now don't get me wrong, like I did not invent this style. People have been doing this for a long time, but I wasn't aware of it, right? I haven't been really involved in the VHL community for very long. I've only been here for 2 seasons, right? This is going to be my 3rd. But, I learned how to play goalie from drop-in games. That's how I originally started playing. And, I'm sorry, there's no teamwork there at all. Like, it's just crap, right? They don't do anything. You're facing, if you face 20 shots in a game, it's like, wow, there was good team defense to give you only 20 shots in that, that particular game. Breakaway after breakaway. It's baptism by fire. And it's really good in the sense from a goalie perspective. It doesn't teach you how to play properly as a forward or as a defenseman. Again, things got much, much better when I started playing club and I started having, teammates that we'd regularly play together with. And they were much, much better in that. And, shout outs to everybody on Flyers for Cup, right? They're an awesome group of guys. But that's when my style started changing. But it always it evolved. It was like, okay, every time I got scored on, I looked at how that goal was scored. Why did I get scored on this particular time? It's like, oh, you know what? I was hugging the post, and the guy wrapped around and shot it far side on me. I let go of the trigger to come out, but you know what? We're playing online. It lags. And I couldn't get over fast enough, and because of the way EA Sports made the game, my goalie's not making an animation. That goal is just going straight on in if I'm hugging the post, right? Or the treacherous, he's behind the net, you're hugging the post, pass out front, one timer. If you're hugging the post on those things, that's a guaranteed goal. If you're, playing butterfly in the middle of the net, it's not a guaranteed goal. In fact, you're probably going to save that 70% of the time, 70-80%. But, at the same time, they got a 20-30% chance to score. Like, it's a good scoring opportunity. So, don't stop doing it, guys. But, that's why I don't hug the post in particular. But that was one thing I was like, okay, hugging the post sucks. Let's try not hugging the post. Let's see what happens, right? Let's see what happens when I just scooch over in butterfly and hold the anticipation stick left or right. And you know what? It works. And not only does it work, but it's way better than hugging the post because, they go for a wraparound attempt. If you're hugging the post, the puck just kind of gets stuck there, right in front of the net. Sometimes they'll poke at it and, get another chance or some crazy shit happens. Whereas if you're in butterfly and you scooch over to the left and you hold the anticipation stick, when they go for that wraparound, you kick your leg out and you knock the puck flying, all the way into the corner. Or, I've had it go out. I've cleared the puck, right? I've kicked the puck out past the blue line from a wraparound attempt.
So, in essence, what you're saying is it gives you a fighting chance as a goaltender to make up for 2 factors that you can't control. One being lag, the connection issue, and the other being the programming for the goalie animations, save animations, stuff like that. Correct?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. That's an accurate statement, right? I mean, I just kept every time I got a goal scored on me, I looked at how it was scored on me, why was it scored, and I'm like, what could I have done differently to prevent it? And it just stopped, I kept whittling away at everything that I was doing until it was like, all right, I just sit here in the middle of the net and hold left and right, and that's all that I need to do. All right, great. It's frustrating from a sense of, hey, it'd be nice if you had a better game, but that's the way this game is programmed.
Okay. Now, I did mention that this is at the topic of several ongoing thread discussions of how, I'm just going to paraphrase, cheesy, cheap, and simulations, it's just not what some people call in the realm of simulation that this league was founded on. That's not my personal opinion. I'm just reiterating what people have said. And some of these people have gone as far as declaring that there should be a rule against it. Me, personally, I don't believe that should happen. I honestly think policing yourselves is the best way to go. Is if a team wants to pick up a player like you, such as the St. Louis Blues, they like your style, they like the way what you bring to the table, then by all means you should be given the opportunity to play. That's my personal opinion. I may not personally agree with the actual style itself, but I'm not in control. I don't run that team. So I don't think there should be a rule, an arbitrary rule that just cookie cutter, you can't do this. I think that's bullshit. But I can't help but notice that it's not really what people would call the traditional goalie aspects of the game. Some people even think that it's going so far that it's taking away from what this league was founded on, which was simulating and emulating the real NHL. Do you care to respond to these folks? I know you've been quite outspoken about this.
Well, there's a couple things. I mean, for starters, I understand that it's a simulation league and we're trying to play, the way you would in real life. But I think what bothers people the most is when it's kind of abused to the point of you're not trying to hide it in the slightest bit. And that's kind of one of the interesting things is the people that I've played against recently. I mean, I got a message by Calgary actually after our unfortunate series loss, and he was like, "Wow, I'm actually sorry for criticizing you before because you're actually not nearly as bad as I thought you were." And he was right and wrong. He was right in that when we played in our series, I absolutely, I'm still a goal line goaltender. I don't claim not to be. I absolutely goal line all the time, but only when it's necessary, and only when in certain situations. In other situations, because I can trust my team defense, and I'm not talking about defensemen. I'm talking about forwards here, covering everybody properly, not letting those cross crease passes out. That's what's going to allow goaltenders to come out and challenge more. Because realize if the team plays defense properly, that's what's going to create better simulation style hockey, right? If a goaltender has enough faith in his defensemen and his forwards so that he doesn't have to worry about, it's a face-off in our end. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to tie up the center, and one winger is going to come in and pass it cross-crease to the other winger for a freebie goal. Do you have any idea? I mean, some of my buddies from Flyers for Cup, they're in the CHL, and they were telling me that they probably scored at least one goal per game doing that. Whereas you go to the NHL level, suddenly you don't see that as often, right? I think I had one goal scored on me that, the whole season that way, and it was because I was just, I wasn't expecting it. I was trusting my forwards to do it because, 99% of the time they'll cover that guy and they'll make sure that, that kind of garbage play doesn't go through. So.
Okay. So, what you're saying is that you only use it on necessity based off of how the team defense in front of you is playing, and you adapt as follows. Because some people accuse you of just taking a rubber binder to your controller and watching popcorn or TV and watching Netflix and just letting your goaltender sit in the crease the whole game. I'm not making this up. Some people have actually gone out and accused you of just playing one-handed and doing other things while you're playing a game. I mean, do you care to answer your critics? I think it's kind of harsh for them to say
that. Wait, hold up a second. I think we just won. Yeah, hey, look, I just got a shutout. You notice that? Wow. Fucking A.
So you're doing that now as we're talking on this interview. That's
What? Yeah, come on. No. All right. No, it's obviously not true. I mean, believe me, I'm always, on point, playing properly, and I'm doing a lot. People make fun of it and all that, but again, because I can trust my defense, I can do a lot more. And because it's like I mentioned, when you're playing goaltender, you're playing the percentages game, right? When you're in net, it's like, hey, they shoot it this way, I've got a 90% chance of stopping it, right? They do a cross crease and slap it, you know what? It goes down to 70%, but I've still got a great chance at stopping this puck, right? Whereas when you come out and you challenge, it's all or nothing, right? So when you've got a winger coming down, and he's going to be sniping it short side, if I come out, if I stand up and I come out and I challenge him, then I'm all in, right? And again, St. Louis gives me the opportunity to do that, which I really enjoy, and I thank them for that. Because what that does is that means, okay, 100% you're not short-siding me, right? Whereas if I'm in my net and I'm anticipating that way, it's more like 70%. You've got a 30% chance of scoring, whereas if I come out, it's 100. But all he has to do is cross-crease pass, and then suddenly it's 100% goal, right? Whereas, again, I have to be 100% confident in my team that they're going to stop that. And, again, the way this game is designed, sometimes it's not even their fault, right? That guy makes that cross-crease pass, and you're like, how the hell did that get through? It just went through 3 sticks onto the guy's stick, and he tapped it in for a freebie goal. Whereas if I was playing goal line goaltender, guess what? I would have stopped that, right? So it's really tough.
all right. So we've established the strategic factors of this positioning that I'm just going to call it, it's a strategy. It's a positioning strategy, and you've obviously done your homework with the mathematics, and you've done it on a percentage scale, which you've demonstrated and talked in depth about. A lot of the people in the community that are speaking out against it have said that they're basically, like, Nikolai Hobby-Bulin plays an unorthodox style. Not nearly as unorthodox as, say, what's his name, Dominic Hasek, who had a splinky for his spine. But Nikolai... Dominic Hasek or Hobby-Bulin? Hasek, okay. But Hobby-Bulin earned the nickname the Bulin Wall because he was just uncanny. In some of the games, he would actually steal the game by pretty much blocking every single shot, making save after save after save. Literally a wall in net. Some people have actually described the way you play as that Bud Light commercial, and I can show a clip of the commercial later after this interview, where, I don't know if you've seen it, but the Igor or something, I forget the guy's, it's a Russian name. The guy is huge. He just goes out to the net, and he bends over and takes up the entire net, and just sits there. Literally, just sits there. I'm not making this up. It's true. Some people have accused you of doing this. Now, me, I'd like to get to the bottom of this, and like I've pretty much said, I'm not in favor of the style. I understand that it works, and if it works and you're successful at it and another team wants to give you a chance at it and re-sign you, more power to them and best of luck to you. But there has to be cons to this. We know the pros. Down low, cross crease is what you've described. Those are the pros. You're anticipating those. You still have to be able to read the play. What are the cons? And just off the top of my head, I'm going to have to say shooting high. Kind of like what they say about Jonathan Quick. Shoot high. That's your weakness.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, shooting high is obviously a really, one of the killer weaknesses when it comes to goal line goaltending. And that's the two major weaknesses, I'd say, are obviously, you know, there's a short side shot, right? And then there's also the shot, you know, again, right in front, you know, right in front of the net, reach back, snipe it, top side. But I mean, that's only from a couple feet away. What you really want to do, yeah, the one where you...
Are you talking about the shot that you shoot at, and you shoot glove side high, and your goaltender makes the animation and the save, but his glove is in the net and it counts as a goal?
No. The one, like, honestly, it'll go in. Like, if you want, you can try this out in, like, penalty shot mode or whatever. If you've got a goalie that's literally sitting on the goal line in butterfly, right? Just skate straight towards him. You know, pull the puck back, and then don't wait until you're right next to it. Wait until you're maybe just past the hash marks, and then snipe it glove high. That's going to go in like 90% of the time. Right? If you pull it back and you just snipe it glove high or blocker high, if you're right in the middle of the ice, that's going in for sure. The only way to stop those as a goalie is to come out and challenge them, right? Because once the skater gets in too close, suddenly he doesn't have as nearly as good an angle, and you're more likely to stop it, or he misses the net, right? And so, again, one of the big things of goal line goalies is they're leaning on the anticipation stick, and you're leaning on this stick, you know, all the time. And one of the big weaknesses is shots from the middle of the ice. And you don't even need to be like close, right? Like you can be, if you're out at the blue line level, as long as you're in the middle of the ice and you take a shot, you got to realize that goal line goalie, he's guessing at this point. He doesn't know if you're shooting left or shooting right. And again, shoot high.
So you're saying that for skaters that are going up against you, the main weakness, and this is what you rely on your team defense to take away, your kryptonite, so to speak, would be shots from the high slot in that area between the blue line and the high slots, top of the face-off dots, you know, from the hash marks and the circles, because you cannot
really the worst spot absolutely is right at like the hash marks level, right? Like if you come in too close, it's not, you know, you're actually reducing your chances. If you're right at that hash marks line in the middle of the ice, and I have no idea if you're shooting left or right, I'm in serious trouble. And that's one of those times when, again, you'll see me when a skater comes in that way, I'm standing up and I'm coming out and I'm cutting down the angle, right? That's one of those situations where I absolutely come off the goal line and come out and challenge. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. That's a very, very difficult part of the ice to get to, right? That's what I say that's my kryptonite, but by the same token, like, you know, that's a dangerous... That's what
you're hoping your team defense takes away.
That's what I'm hoping my team defense takes away, but it's also like, I mean, regardless of your goaltender style, that's always a dangerous place to shoot from, right? So that's a really bad one. Ironically, there's also, you know, 5-hole goals can be a real pain. People laugh about it because, like, you're in butterfly. Like, why the hell is that going in 5-hole? But it happens all the time. Again, you know, your goalie makes the wrong animation, and bang, it's going in 5-hole. Right? Like your goalie, you're anticipating right, they take a shot, and your goalie tries to make the save to the right side, but guess what? That shot just went 5-hole, and you're toast. Now, if you weren't anticipating, then you might have a better shot at actually saving it. I can't say for sure, right? I mean, you're playing the percentages game. But if you're anticipating right, then there's a more likely chance your goalie's going to make a save to the right. You shoot that 5-hole, you're going to score some goals. And the other big thing, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but for some unknown reason, nobody goes for deflection goals in this league. Nobody. Like, they're hard to pull off, but you never see any teams with, like, set plays trying for it either. Right?
No, what's the reason why they, well, like, let's use that for an example. I'm glad you brought that up. You take for your example, goaltending, goal line goalies. You started, you didn't start it, but you've started a trend within the VHL of goal line campers because you've been successful at it, and yours is more of a hybrid adaptation of it because you don't do it 100% of the time. You even said so, but you basically it's a copycat league. And I'm going to be brutally honest, we haven't seen a lot of deflection-style goals in this league for quite some time because it's really hard to pull off. It's not 100% guaranteed that you're going to get the deflection. And let's be honest, what's the easiest path from point A to point B? The path of least resistance. That requires a lot of skill to pull off, tipped deflection goals. It does. It requires a lot of teamwork. It requires being in the right place at the right time in the right situation, especially with forwards that like to charge the blue line. If you're coming in off the power play, you got a defenseman that's winding up. The defenseman's not known for his puck handling skills or puck protection. That easily poked off his stick. So usually, as soon as the defenseman gets the puck, that puck's gone. So you don't have a lot of time to set up for it unless you actually have it. So when you do see it, it's quite unique. But I think this league likes to do the old figure skater in the corner, play behind the net, and set up the one-timers, cross creases. Back to the opposite side of the ice face-off dot. Like Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a master of that. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree. Like, it takes some serious... I mean, I disagree in that it's incredibly difficult to do. All it requires is proper teamwork and coordination and people knowing, hey, we're going to be trying for a deflection goal here, right? And that, really, that's where, those white ice goalies excel. If you come out and you challenge it, then there's no angle, right? They deflect it, it's kind of like, all right, well, whatever, you hit my shoulder instead of my chest. Whereas a goal line goalie, again, you're dealing with the animation syndrome. Whereas if whenever a player takes a shot, the goalie animation that they make is always going to be from the original shot. I've never seen a goalie in this game actually react and change the animation, to a deflection, or certainly not change it in time to stop the puck. Deflection goals are killer versus goal line goalies.
Well, a goal line goalie, you don't have a lot. You're sacrificing the reaction time for a deflection because you're on your goal line. It's all or nothing, so to speak, because you're on your goal line. Whereas as a goalie that challenges it still has that gap from where they are challenging the puck to the actual goal line of their net. Their animation can come back, and I've seen some spectacular saves in my day where the goalie does a desperation dive and hit it the last second with his stick, and it deflects wide or hits the post. It's happened. You're sacrificing that.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. If you're, again, I know you're sacrificing that, and that's another one of the advantages of being on the goal line. I'm not going to lie, is you get that extra fraction of a second for your goalie to fix his animation and properly stop the puck, right? Because you're back there instead of, a bit up. Now, I don't know how much of a difference that makes. I mean, you'd have to look at the actual
weakness
code,
that
right?
I would just thinking off the top of my head here. Screens. The screen animation where your goalie automatically drops down to the Jonathan Quick, hunchback, put the paddle down, looking around the body. You're giving up half the net up top. If that puck's coming high, you're toast. Have you had that problem?
You see, this is the thing. Well, not really, because this is the thing, is that not a lot of people really want to take, wristers or slap shots from the blue line. I mean, you get them every once in a while, but it's not as common as some forward coming in and wristing it on you. But again, it's absolutely, a good valid point because, again, screens kind of go right along with deflections, right? You got a guy screening the net, screening the goalie. There's a chance that he can deflect it in. Now, to be fair, I'm pretty sure that every single goalie in the league has their vision maxed out, right? Just because of the way that, you can distribute points, right? Like there's not that kind of area. You're basically just maxing out all the stats. I mean, I know mine's at like at least 89, if not higher, for vision. So it's not as big of an issue as you would think, unfortunately. Especially since, I mean, I don't know what other different goalies do different things, but me personally, I actually use the overhead camera. So if you're thinking about like a real screen of like I don't know where the puck is, like that's not going to happen. Again, we're playing a video game. I'm using the overhead camera. I know where the puck is, right? Whereas if you're playing against a goaltender that uses like the high view, you can actually sneak around the side. If you're coming in, if the puck's in the left corner and you're down on the right side, if you skate down the right side, and the goalie has no idea you're there just because of the camera angle. So that's another one of exactly. Again, it's another trusting your team defense to stop those cross-crease passes, right? But you don't even know he's there, so you're not even ready for it when that pass does come, right? Like at least maybe I trust my defense, but I don't trust them enough not to slide over and make sure I'm covering that.
How do you deal with the pressure, the added pressure, and the spotlight being put on your play style and you personally within the community from your play style? Playing for St. Louis, I mean, was it a distraction? Did you use it as motivation? I mean, you were quite successful with St. Louis. You guys did lose in the second round to the Calgary Flames. I believe that went to 7, if I'm not mistaken. How does your team react to this? Do they rally around you? Do you get some pot shots of jokes from your teammates? I mean, it has to be a distraction. One would think it has to be a distraction or a possibility of a distraction.
Well, it's kind of funny actually, because I mean, Jers told me kind of at the end of the season actually, just when he was re-signing me, he's like, "Yo, honestly, he originally signed me just to kind of rattle some cages, right? He was not expecting me to have the kind of season that I did." I feel it was a successful season, but at the same time, I mean, hey, you know what? We got eliminated. We got leg hooked in that second round by Calgary. Great series. Props to them. Losing in 7 hurts. But, all in all, it wasn't that bad of a season. It was a pretty good season, especially it was my first one in the NHL. I'm really happy how it went, and I made a lot of friends. And those are the guys that really got me through it. I mean, you got to remember, I just made that video. I didn't make it to troll people, right? Like, I'd only been in the VHL for maybe the last 3 weeks of the previous season of season 10, and then I came in season 11. I'm like, you know what? I want to get scouted, right? So I joined as many scouting games as I could. I recorded them all, and then I put together my little collage for fun and saying, hey, you know what? People want to see the saves I make. Here you go. This is the style I play. These are the saves I make. I make no excuses, right? And you know what? People started jumping all over that, and making jokes and this, that, whatever. But at the end of the day, it was my friends, and the actual friends. My friends are the guys that I care about, right? If somebody goes off and they make fun of me and they say, "Oh, you Aabra, you suck," and blah blah blah, and all that. It's the internet, I mean, I don't really care what if you like it or not. I'd prefer it if you accepted me and liked me as a person, and you hate my goaltending style, then that's perfectly fine. I don't care. That's your opinion, and that's cool. But as long as I've got my good friends that I enjoy playing the league in, and I have a lot of fun with them, as long as I have fun, then at the end of the day, that's the important thing for me.
We're getting kind of short on time here, Aabra, and I do appreciate you coming on for the interview. And like I said, you've been a lightning rod in the VHL community, both pros and cons, even to the point where people want to make a rule against your style of play, which, I guess if you want to look at, like, holy shit, they're talking to me about that. I mean, I don't know. I don't agree with that. I think that's a little drastic. I think, honestly, if you don't like it, beat them.
It doesn't work even. You can't... I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, you talk about your rules and this and that, whatever. you can't make a rule against anticipating. You can't make a rule against going down into butterfly. You have to hug the post when this situation. Like, give everybody the flexibility to play it the way they want to play.
It's a strategy. You're absolutely right. You cannot make a rule against this. You got, in my personal opinion, and I hope to God that the people, the higher ups, the people that make the rules, the BOGs, the commissioners, Lamoran, and them guys, understand this. If you don't like it, make it obsolete. Beat it. Now, I'm not trying to rub salt in your wounds, but you did lose in the second round. You made it to the second round, but you lost in 7. Obviously, it didn't win a Stanley Cup. So, whether you continue to try it and you're successful, I wish you the best of luck at it. But for those who don't like it, beat you. Show it on the ice. It
absolutely no. Hey, I lost my fair share of games. I'll get blown up every once in a while. You get a team that plays really well. I think the biggest problem is that people, when they go up against a goal line goaltender, they don't know what to do. They start panicking. They're like, we've got to play differently than normal. Don't. If you want to score against a goal line goaltender, take quality shots from quality scoring positions. They'll go in. The whole idea of, we have to turd it? No, that turding does not work. All turding does is increase my save percent. All right?
I'm sure.
You know who tried to turd it? I want to mention this. I'm going to call them out. X-Bobs and the boys, Minnesota, you guys tried to turd me all game long. You guys took like 20 turd shots in one of our games. And honestly, you guys are amazing players. You're great at the game, but that's why you lost. That's why I got the shutout. All right, it was like 20 shot shutout, and they were every single one of them was like some turd shot.
Or anybody
else.
Right,
play normally. No, Yargich is a great guy. I've got nothing against him. I'm just letting him know straight up. Mm-hmm. Like, if they're great players, if they'd played their normal game,
but you bring up turds.
Who knows what would have happened?
Token. I mean, who knows what would have happened? I don't agree with the whole lightning rod aspect of calling your style pathetic and all that stuff. I may not personally agree with it, like it, but I can understand the strategy behind it. Turds. I'm sick and tired of people bitching about turds. They're not turds. It's called pass off pads. Pop. It's an actual tactic. If you have nothing open, you can't force a pass, shoot it on net, crash the net. Good things happen. They're called a fucking rebound. Get over yourselves. It's not turd hockey. I'm not yelling at you. I'm just there's people. All right. There's people that disagree with your style.
I agree with that. I agree with you, but I disagree. When they had chances to do, they absolutely had chances to do more, right? Like they could have, skated around behind the net and cycled the puck and tried to do something. But instead of that, it wasn't like they were about to get stripped of the puck and then you just turd it on net, right? Like that's not turding, right? For me, that is, hey, you know what? We're trying to get a rebound. We're trying to do something. I had no other option, right? That's perfectly fine.
The best way to get rid of the turds is play better team defense. Now, if you're talking a 2-on-1 and the guy doesn't have a passing lane to the other guy crashing to the net with him, he's going to shoot it. He's going to shoot it for a favorable rebound. That defenseman needs to make up his mind. Does he give the goalie the shooter and play for the pass/rebound, or does he challenge the shooter and hope the goalie covers the rebound? Me personally, if I was in that situation, I would tell the goaltender, you got the shooter. I'll worry about man number 2. I wouldn't make it easy for him, but that's what I would do. Team defense. Now, there are teams, I've seen this, that just go in, skate 5 feet into the zone, and shoot low, looking for the guy that's crashing the net. But the minute they do it once, if they do it again, my team in front of me is going to say, hey, this is what they're going to do. Let's take it away and force them to do something else. I cannot stand those that continue to bitch about it and they lose. Do you want to know why you lost? It's because you didn't adjust and adapt to the tactic at hand. You are the reason why it's successful. Just like those that bitch about your style of game, goal line camping, those who bitch about it are those that fail to adjust and adapt to it. You're not unbeatable. You know this. You've said so yourself. I agree with you. I don't particularly like the style. I think it looks ugly. But it's not unbeatable.
I was just going to bring it. Actually, I wanted to mention this real quick though, because also you mentioned about team defense, right? And again, if people want to see less goal line goaltending, right, then my recommendation is step up your D, because then you'll get more goalies like me that, again, more of a hybrid at the very least, right? Like, if I'm in trouble, position. You sure thing, you better believe I'm going to be on that goal line, right? If that's what it is, essentially, right? When the shit hits the fan, guess where I'm going to be, right? But, if everything's going according to plan and the defense has control of the situation, that allows you to come out and challenge those shots and play a more normal style of goaltending, if you will. And, if you can get goalies to the point where they will 100% trust you, then they're going to come out and they're going to challenge those shots, because guess what? 100% chance of stopping the short side goal is way better than 80%. But if you're giving up that, if they can't trust you to prevent that forward from cutting to the inside, then they're going to sit in that goal line.
You bring up a lot of interesting points.
That's the reality.
And it's been a pleasure having you on the show, Aabra, and I wish you the best of luck being re-signed with the St. Louis Blues. I look forward to seeing season 12 and how successful you are. Hopefully you're more of a hybrid than, you're not the type of person that just sits on your goal line. I've seen those goalies that think that's what you do. They try to mimic what you do, and I've seen them utterly fail.
Hey, all the more power to, again, it's a process, right? Like, they will come to the realization, just like I did, that if you can trust your defense, you can increase your save percentage by coming out and challenging shots on those short side goals. And when the player comes out and they're sitting at the hash mark level right in the middle of the net, you have to come out and you challenge those. If you're a goal line goaltender, all the more power to you, right? Hey, I'm one of you, right? But in those scenarios, my recommendation is come out, challenge those shots. When you don't have control over the situation, if the other team is skating circles around your defense, get on that goal line, start anticipating, because that's the only way you're gonna stand a chance.
So what you're saying is it's a tool in the toolbox, and you gotta know when the right time to use that tool.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on the penalty box for this interview. VHL exclusive, St. Aabra, star goaltender for the St. Louis Blues. Much appreciated, and I wish you the best of luck.
All right, take it easy. Stay out of trouble.
VHL owners, ever have a question where you're worried you might get yelled at by the VOGs of the VHL? Oh, not anymore. Dial 1-555-GFY-1111 and ask your question to our operators, who will help you out and let you know if it's worthy enough for the VHL VOGs. Sick and tired of having Haji or Teach tell you that you're an idiot? Don't want to be like Jason Blaze? Dial 1-555-GFY-1111 and ask our operators your questions before going for VOGs. Operators standing by. 1-555-GFY-1111.
Have you ever been injured in a VHL game? Or have someone try to drive a forklift over your bad foot? Then you, my friend, need to call 1-555-WAMBulance. Our lawyers will help you, the VHL players, get the justice you deserve. Goons trying to knock your head off? People trying to run a forklift over your foot? It almost happened to Teach, star defenseman of the Pittsburgh Penguins. That's right. Dial 1-555-WAMBulance, and our lawyers will help you out.